I waiting for you to?
Go right ahead.
Okay. So I'm talking about Proposition 58, which is entitled English Proficiency Multilingual Education. And this is an initiative statute. Proposition 58 addresses the question of what the language of instruction for public school students who are not yet proficient in English should be. Current law requires that these students receive instruction in the English language along with their other subjects, such as math and science, in a sheltered English immersion program, with English as the only language of instruction. Schools may offer bilingual programs in which students are taught in both English and their native language, but the student's parent or legal guardian must provide yearly written consent for the student to enroll. The current restrictions on how public schools instruct English learners were put in place as a result of Proposition 227, the English Language in the Public Schools Initiative, which was passed by voters in 1998. Proposition 58, which was placed on the ballot by the California legislature, proposes to revise and amend this law. Specifically, this proposition eliminates the requirement that public schools teach English learners only in English. It allows school districts to develop a variety of language acquisition programs and requires them to solicit input from parents and the community in developing these. It allows parents or legal guardians to choose an available language acquisition program for their child, including a bilingual program, without signing a waiver. It preserves the requirement that schools ensure that students achieve English language proficiency. And it also authorizes schools to establish dual language immersion programs for both native English speakers and native speakers of other languages. So according to the Legislative Analyst's Office, there should be no notable changes in costs to state government or local school districts. Any additional expenses for schools depend on program decisions and possible costs of providing bilingual programs. However, new bilingual programs would not necessarily be more expensive than English-only programs. A yes vote means public schools can more easily choose how to teach English learners, whether in English-only, bilingual, or other types of programs. A no vote means public schools will still be required to teach most English learners in English-only programs. Supporters of Proposition 58 argue that it allows schools more flexibility in meeting local needs, that it allows schools to adopt up-to-date language instruction methods to improve student outcomes, that it expands opportunities for English speakers to learn a second language. Major supporters include numerous educational organizations, school districts, elected officials, and others, including the California Teachers Association, the California School Boards Association, San Francisco Unified School District, Governor Jerry Brown, Superintendent of Public Instruction Tom Torlakson, the California Democratic Party, the California Peace and Freedom Party, and the California League of Women Voters. As of October 21st, over $4 million has been donated in support of Proposition 58. About half of this has come from Yes on 8, which is Californians for English Proficiency, which is sponsored by teachers and service employees organizations, and about half from the Million Voter Project Action Fund, which is sponsored by a coalition of social service organizations in California. Opponents of Proposition 58 argue that being taught in English leads to faster English language acquisition, and that this proposition lifts restrictions on the California legislature from making future changes, which could lead to restoration of Spanish almost-only classes, and it would overturn policies that actually improved language education. Major opponents include Ron Unz, chairman of Keep English for the Children, who is an advocate for Proposition 227 back in 1998. Mauro E. Mujica, the U.S. English chairperson, the California Republican Party, and the California Libertarian Party. So far, there are no reported donations in opposition to Proposition